All right, all right. So to start it off, we're gonna break it down. We're gonna talk about not how to fix the champion in a way of making them balanced, but more so to make the champion unique, fun, enjoyable, if that's what they need. The whatever the glaring issue is with the champion, how to fucking fix that. And so the big one that's been discussed on stream lately is Neeko. So we're gonna start with that, with how the fuck you fix Neeko. And honestly, I think Neeko is, how do I even describe it? Like, they're reworking her. I don't want them to rework her though. See, I think that's one of the big problems. Is Riot just jumps to reworking all their champions, changing a bunch of abilities about them, and it's not it doesn't fix the champion. They just get rid of the champion. The reworked champion is not the previous champion. The people that enjoy current Neeko are not the people that are going to enjoy reworked Neeko, because that champion is now dead. That champion is gone. My goal is to make the current champion enjoyable, which Riot doesn't seem capable of figuring out how to do for most of their fucking cast of champions, which is why there's so many champions that are just like 2% of people play them, and then Riot's, well, like, nobody's playing them, so let's crush the small hopes and dreams of the people that do enjoy the champion, instead of making them cooler, make them more fun. For Neeko, look at how unique Neeko is. Neeko can disguise herself as every champion in the game that's on your team, of course. And it's just, they just did nothing with it. The most you can utilize that ability, which is probably one of her coolest abilities, it allows for so much, just like, different strategies, and you can make teams around it. Like, I want to do the clone team, because it's just all about trying to confuse your opponents and deceive them. And the deception level that they went with it is like a 1. You get auto attacked once and it disappears. You're not fooling anyone with the Neeko. Like, the biggest outplay you can do with the Neeko is like sending your W the wrong way. In regards to sending your W the wrong way, you also have to run away, because if you do anything other than run, they can immediately tell which one's the real Neeko, since you can't control her W. And that is where I would start with changing Neeko, is being able to control your W. Shaco can control his clone. LeBlanc can control her clone. Why can't Neeko control her clone? What does sending a clone in one direction do for you? Her W is absolutely fucking useless. Why is that even an ability? It is a waste of time. Getting onto Neeko's other abilities, nothing Neeko does is better than what someone else can do of the same category. Neeko's best combo is her EQ, which is absolutely terrible compared to Lux, Zoe, people who can do it from safety and with more damage. Like, what's unique about it? It goes through all the minions. Well, Lux already goes through one minion. Like, how many minions are you trying to play around here? And chances are, if you throw it through all the minions, like, you're gonna have a hard time getting in range of the opponents anyways. Not to mention you're fighting in a minion wave, which is what you really want to do. There's no real positive to throwing it through a whole wave of minions. And then you add in her ultimate, which you have to be in the middle of combat, which doesn't go with any of Neeko's other abilities. None of her abilities helps her get into the middle of combat, other than her W, which is bad, because it's not like a protection or anything. It's just you go invisible for a second and it's a clone. So you have no way of getting into the middle of your opponents, and then you have to charge up and then slam, and it's just like, you have to jump through so many hoops to make the champion good. So the champion is not even really good, but even if that's not your concern, you're just trying to have fun, like, it could be so much more. Neeko could be the master of deception. She could be a chameleon. Imagine if you sent out a clone and the clone used the abilities at the same time you used them. Then your opponents have to respect your clone. Not only can you control your clone also copies your ability. So when you throw E, the clone throws E. When you throw Q, the clone throws Q. When you ult, the clone ults. And now your opponents have to decide, and quick, which one's the real one, which one's the fake one. To balance it out, the clone would not do damage with their abilities, but they would throw their abilities in the same direction you're throwing yours. So which one actually hits you is still going to be difficult to find out. Not impossible, depending on the distance. And all the same, it's still going to be a lot more difficult for your opponents to figure out what the hell is going on and how do I outplay this situation where I got 2 Neekos ulting on top of me right now. And that is a way for Neeko to get into the middle of a team. Because now when there's 2 Neekos to choose from, your opponent just can't burst the clearly ulting Neeko. Which is the current issue with her and why she's completely fucking useless. Is even her ultimate, if that's what you want to say is the major playing point for Neeko, who doesn't have that? Amumu has that. Same ult, same big AP damage. Annie has that from a safer distance. Don't even get me started on Aurelion Sol does everything Neeko does better than Neeko does it. Aurelion Sol has a long distance Q. Aurelion Sol has a W made for traveling and moving, which is all Neeko's current W is. He's got CC on his E, and he has a massive AoE ultimate, except Aurelion Sol is good. He's got also stacking. He can hit multiple opponents. He has a forever shooting Q. Like, it's not even comparable to how absolutely troll it is to lock in Neeko, which, by the way, if you're locking in Neeko, you are griefing and you should be reported. Because just pick Aurelion Sol. Or any other champion that does what Neeko does better. But yeah, I would definitely do those major changes to Neeko. Because honestly, I don't want her to change her passive. The fact that she could turn into teammates is even better. Because now you can control the W while disguising yourself. So say you disguise yourself as Darius. I don't know. Well, now you have 3 Dariuses running at you. And 1 Darius isn't running the opposite direction because that's the best you can tell him to do. But instead, you actually control him. You can fucking auto attack and it'll auto attack. You have it'll hit minions. Again, doesn't do any damage because the clone doesn't do damage. And that's the big thing. And that's how you balance that out. Because all the other clones kind of provide something. Even LeBlanc's ultimate does auto attacks. Wukong already has his clone doing all of his abilities. Why does Wukong have a clone? Why does his clone copy his abilities? I don't know. Why can't Neeko's? So that's my big point with Neeko. That's the easiest way you could fix Neeko. Is Riot going to do that? No. They're going to remove that champion. That champion's going to have like 3 different abilities doing God knows what, but it's not going to be Neeko anymore. So rip to all the Neeko enjoyers. I feel like it's just one simple change to how her W works. It doesn't even have to be, it's not even a drastic change to how it currently works. You're literally just adding the ability to control it and the ability to copy your abilities, which are all already features in League of Legends. And you can leave the rest of the abilities the same, and that champion becomes way more playable, way more useful. But imagine Riot just simply fixing something and not just scrapping it because who cares, you know? Rip their Neeko mains. So yeah, that's my rant about Neeko.